Hello, Herman Deal, the real deal here. So today we're going to talk in subconscious fat. We're going to talk about alternatives to sprinting, okay? Because here's the thing. A lot of people now know that if you do long-term endurance type of training, whether it be walking for 15,000 steps a day, jogging, biking for long periods of time, swimming for long periods of time. What ends up happening? What ends up happening is you don't create more muscle. And muscle is very important to be metabolically healthy. Okay. And if you're walking or jogging, remember, fat gives you 9 calories of energy per gram, more than carbohydrates or sugar. So the body has to store fat in order to help you keep going for a longer period of time. You have an innate intelligence in your body, so your body's going to help you adapt to walk longer, run longer. The body, we have an innate intelligence. It will do that. So the body's going to store fat in the midsection at the center of gravity. Doesn't make any sense if you're jogging or walking to store the fat in the arms, right? No, you're going to get skinny arms, skinny legs. If you're a biker, you do get more thighs because you're forcing, with biking, but still, you end up not having a six pack. You end up getting a gut. Maybe not a gut, but you end up accumulating fat in and around your organs at the center of gravity, which is the safe place that the body can keep it to help you go further for longer. So these endurance type of activities don't make any sense, especially if you want to lose weight, and especially as you get older. Ironically, men get older and maybe they hurt themselves lifting weight. Oh, I need to stop lifting weights. I'm just going to walk. That's better for me. No, it's not. You can switch. Instead of lifting the heavy weights, use your body weight, use bands. I have a ton of videos on that. You all should already know this. You all should also know that jogging compared to sprinting, which is a post I posted back like a year ago, sprinting is way better. And we see this when we look at something like the Olympics, right? You look at the sprinters in the Olympics, people like Usain Bolt, muscle, fast. They're running high speed. This is what creates muscle, okay? Because you're running at full speed. If you run for a long time, you're a marathoner, you're going to be skinny. You don't look as great. You're not as healthy. And you're not as healthy. That's the important thing. So, however, for men over 40, we know sprinting is better, but let's be real. Men over 40, when I was in my 40s, I did sprint for a while. I was into CrossFit and I was in a phase where we were doing sprints and I was able to do it without pulling a hamstring. But I tried sprinting in my 50s. I was able to do it for about a month and then boom, I pulled a hamstring. And it's just, as we get older, these things happen. I suggest if you really want to do sprints, I would actually suggest hire a sprint coach. They're out there. People you can pay money to and they will train you and guide you to really help you sprint. However, the flip side of that is that you don't need to hire a sprint coach. There are other options you can do. I do some of these other options, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. How do you get the benefit of sprinting without actually sprinting and pulling a hamstring? Because we're men over 40, and that is very frequently what happens if you try to sprint after 40. Are there some men who do it? Yes, there are. Like I said, I was able to do it for a while in my 40s. But here's the thing. Most of us sprint when we're children. We might even sprint if we played any type of college sport. We might even sprint into our 20s. In our 20s, we can probably still sprint without pulling a hamstring. By the time you get into your 30s, you may not pull a hamstring. But if you got all the way up to your 40s and you haven't sprinted in like 10, 12, 15 years, and now you think you're going to sprint again, you may get away with it for a little while like I did in my 40s, but you may also pull a hamstring. It's risky. So that's just a reality of it. Now, there are some people who have been sprinting all that time and they can sprint in their 50s and 60s. And there are some people who hire a sprinting coach or who really learn how to do it and take their time and warm up properly. And there's safe ways to do it. But I'm going to give you just much, much safer alternatives. Here we go.
So the first option is to just sprint running uphill. If when you run uphill, you can't stretch your leg out far enough where you are way more likely to pull a hamstring. So running uphill practically prevents hamstring pulling almost completely. It's very difficult to pull a hamstring while running uphill. And like anything, you're still going to want to warm up. You're still going to want to do it the right way. You're not going to want to run. You're not going to want to run uphill at full speed at first. You want to do like 2 or 3 or 4 warm up, maybe going at 50%, then 75%, and then you do a full sprint. But going uphill is way, way safer than just running flat. Unfortunately for me, living in Miami, I don't have a lot of hills, so this is tough for me in Miami. But if you live in an area with hills or mountains, then that's a great way to get your sprints in a much safer manner. The other thing we can do, and that I often do, is just use a stationary bike. And as you can see in this image, this woman, you can tell she's pedaling hard there because her butt is not on the seat. So what you would want to do here is go for like 20 to 30 seconds full out as hard as you can, and I would put the tension harder on the stationary bike, so you have to really push down. It's not easy. Go hard for 30 seconds, then decrease the tension dramatically and relax for a minute, then go for 30 seconds hard again. I do 4 to 8 of these going all out. It's very similar to doing sprints, but way, way less likely of hurting yourself in any way. And especially, you're not going to pull a hamstring doing solo biking like this, a stationary bike. Here, I'm going to push a sled. Here's another way to really get a great cardiorespiratory workout. Safe pushing or pulling works. And here we can see using a punching bag, kicking or dummy, punching, this type of activity. You do this intensely for like 30 seconds a minute. It's like doing sprints. I mean, it's really intense. Take a breather, do it again. Something you only have to do a couple of times for just a little bit of time, and it mimics the benefit of sprints, burning a lot of fat, yet keeping the muscle in place. Jumping rope is another one. Try going for 30 seconds to a minute straight jumping rope. High intensity, fantastic workout. It's a good alternative to sprints. Okay, there I gave the thumbs up. I'm going to do 10 jump squats here. And this is another alternative. And here again, this is pretty high here. This is 36 inches. You want to start off lower, 12 inches, doing jumps, maybe 10 jumps at 12 inches. And little by little, you can go higher. But if you're able to do it without any issues safely, then again, this is another fantastic alternative to doing sprints. And this, I saved the best for last. This is my favorite. This is what I do the most, skipping. Safe way, safe sprint alternative, and fun, makes you feel like a kid again.
Okay, so I hope that was helpful. You know which one is my favorite? Skipping. Skipping is fantastic. I love doing it in the sun, getting, that vitamin D, feeling like a kid again, but yet having an alternative like the biking, a stationary bike. I have one of those here in the condominium. That's also really, really great because when it's raining outside, I can do the stationary bike. I will be back on Thursday with Mr. Skeptical and the written subconscious fat, and then next week again with another video. Bye.